Alright, this project ended up being a lot of fun. This was the first cup I've ever done. This is just a plain clear acrylic tumbler. I got them from Amazon. I believe the brand is Strata. And all I've done is lightly sanded it and then given it a base coat of a flat white spray paint. I used Rust-Oleum flat white, and that just gives me a nice starting base for this. So here I've just taken some painter's tape where the sharpened area would be, and I've just used an X-Acto knife and drew some peaks and valleys. And then up at the top here, I've put a row of double-sided tape. And I just marked off the area lightly. I used an airbrush. My airbrush compressor is not working very well. This ended up taking a lot of time. You can just use a brush and acrylic paint. It is not a big deal. I thought this would be fun to do with my daughter. We'd get a nice light coat. I would probably do it again, but I am waiting for my new compressor to come in. This little mini one that I got just really didn't want to push any paint through. It was pretty much only for water. So add a nice layer of black. This will help with your glitter. You'll use a lot less glitter, and it will help your, because you're not using as much, your glitter will lay flatter. Same idea, we're just going to work at the top part, and I'm just going to add some pink. Same thing, you can easily just use a paintbrush, some acrylic paint, kind of does the same thing. I thought this would go quicker. I got this little mini compressor, but it really was extremely time consuming. You can see my daughter's hand working there. She really wanted to do it this way. So, I mean, with all of these projects, you can really just use what you have on hand. You don't need a whole bunch of spray paint. You don't need, you just kind of work things out with what you've got. And this was a lot of fun. It gave her a chance to try something new. We just kept going until the spray was even. So you just want a nice, good coat of the colors for underneath. I can't believe I'm still spraying. This took forever. Maybe we'll try this again when my new compressor comes in. With any of these things, it's trial and error, and I did learn a lot with this one. I wouldn't do it this exact way again. I would probably make a full template. You'll see why later. I didn't like how some of the glitter worked out, but I got it to work out in the end, and my daughter's thrilled to be able to give this to her teachers, so it was worth it. I think every time you do these things, you learn a little bit, and you never kind of do the same thing twice. You learn and you learn what you liked and didn't like and how to speed things up and change them. So. Here I just removed that middle piece of paper I had just loosely taped on as a blocker. And that's my daughter again. She's just having at her with the airbrush. She really, really enjoyed helping out, and she got a lot of excitement out of the airbrush. I mean, I've had this airbrush since sometime in the 90s. They're pretty easy to get now in comparison to what they were. So I'm excited to get a new compressor and see what we can do with that. Airbrushing's really easy. It just takes a little bit of practice. You just have to know to water down your paint. But again, this is just acrylic paint. It's just fancy acrylic paint. We've just added an airbrush medium to make it thinner. You could easily just use a paintbrush and some acrylic paint. This is where I started to do things a little bit differently. My paint has fully dried, and I'm going to go and add some black lines. I would do it again because I did like having something to follow later on, but this isn't really necessary because I ended up redoing these lines just to make it look more crisp. I kind of liked the cartoony look that that look you get from like almost like a comic book. So this is just a Posca pen. It is an acrylic paint. Again, I love using water-based things. I think they're the safest things you can use. They're easy to take off if you make a mistake. I made a few mistakes with this, and I had to do these lines a few times, not now, but later on in the cup when I redid them after I put the glitter on. So these lines ended up almost disappearing once I put the glitter on, but that was okay. They gave me something to follow later on. So here I've got the Crystal-Lac glitter glue. I'm not sure honestly how I feel about it. I found it a little bit thin, to be honest. I think I'm going to have to do a little bit more trial with it. I was ordering the Crystal-Lac, what do you call it? The top coat anyways. Again, I really believe in water-based things. I try to use water-based as much as I can. I live in Canada. It is cold. I can't be outside or with windows open working with epoxy. I don't think it's, it's not really, safe to use in a closed environment, and I don't have a proper working space to be working with epoxy. So I ordered this for fun just to see how it worked. Again, I'm going to try it some more. I'll use up the bottle, but there are a lot of things you can use. I know some people use tack-it. I think I'm going to try that as well. I did find that I had to do 2 layers of glitter. I think I made 2 mistakes on that, but it did take a little bit more than I thought. But in the end, I was really happy with it, and that's all that really matters. So we'll see. We'll see how I'll use it a few more times, and we'll see how I feel about it. I really loved the bright tone the top coat. It really gave a really nice finish. It was really easy to use. There was no smell. There was no, you don't get those toxic fumes coming off of it like the epoxy. It just took a few coats, and it was good that way. I know I haven't put a video out in a while. I ended up moving my desk upstairs for a different environment. You can see the water-based acrylic paint there just smeared on me. And then I ended up going and getting LASIK. And so I've been off for a bit, not doing as much. I also had a massive problem with Canada Post over Christmas. We waited months and months and months for some stuff to come in for some projects. So there is a lot coming. Thanks for being patient with me. I've got, a couple things on the go. Some projects just take, they take a week or 2 to get done by the time you get through all the coats of these things. And things go wrong too. Oh man, there's been some interesting trial and error with a few things. So if you want to see fail videos, let me know. I do have some funny recordings of stuff that didn't go quite according to plan. So I just put my layer of Crystal-Lac for the yellow, and I'm just going to add a layer of yellow glitter. I just got this from Michaels. I can't remember the brand. It's whatever their house brand of glitter is. It was a really nice bright yellow. I was quite happy with it. So. just going to go on and add some glue for the black. Don't forget the bottom. I like black glitter. Not everybody uses black glitter. It ended up getting a little bit contaminated with the gold glitter that I'll use later on, but it still looks really, really nice. It gives a nice shiny look to it. Here we're just going to remove my double-sided tape. Oh, that's my daughter in her scrunchie. She really wanted to pull this tape. And this was a nice, easy way to get a nice line. It kept it quite clean. I was trying to patch up the black here, but it wasn't really worth it. I think I was trying to scrape some glitter. It actually adhered quite nicely. I think I ended up going to put a whole second layer of glitter on this because I was surprised at how thin the crystal lac was. So you can see I'm actually wearing glasses still when I filmed this. So I ended up going and doing a whole second coat. One, because that acrylic pen, the black pen that I used, it did run when I put the water-based adhesive on it. You can use so many things. You can use a Sharpie. I couldn't find one in the house that had enough ink on it to give me a dark line. What I ended up doing later on, I'll show you, I ended up putting another layer on and then sealing it in before I ended up putting any more bright tone on it, because it really did kind of smear a little bit. It kind of just looks more like a pencil now, so it ended up okay. I would not also use a brush like I did here. It did make the glitter lay down flat, but it took too much glitter off. And because we're going to be sealing in the glitter anyway, you don't really need to brush off the excess glitter. It almost brushed off. It did brush off too much glitter, I should say. So I did end up going over the whole thing again. Learn from my mistakes. It's art. You can make your own mistakes. Just have fun with it and know that everything is fixable and everything, you can just work with it and try to get your desired result one way or another. Here's another thing that I would change if I did it last time. I did not paint this area. I'd watched a few videos where people didn't paint this area and they just put the glitter on it. I was really not happy with how that turned out. I would just use an acrylic paint and a brush and just quickly paint this area and let it dry. Acrylic paint dries so fast. It's not that big of a deal. I did find that just putting the glitter on the white did not give near enough color to this area. So again, learn from my mistakes. Another reason I ended up putting 2 layers of glitter on was because this area definitely needed it. It didn't quite look right. So to each their own. I wouldn't do it this way again. You can see here just how patchy it came out, definitely in that goldish area. So I did go, after I sprayed it with the sealer, I ended up going back and just doing one more quick coat. It added a little bit of time, but it was really worth it in the end. So if you're not happy with things, just keep going. You can see that some of the gold glitter had kind of worked its way into the yellow when I did the second coat. I would definitely try to work up the pencil somehow next time. I think I just have to refine the technique. So here I have sealed it the second time with the E6000, and I'm just adding my first layer of bright tone. I don't have any squeezy bottles in the house. I know a lot of people use the squeezy bottle. I do happen to have a ton of pipettes, so I was just using that to add it. I've never used this before. This was the first time. I did get much quicker at this. You kind of get a feeling for how much you can use. I was really working it into the glitter so I didn't get any air bubbles. I didn't like doing it while the cup was turning. I did it, I did a thin layer and then I added a little bit more with the cup turning. You can kind of feel the areas that still need more. I think I ended up doing 4 or 5 coats to seal in all the glitter. I think 4 coats did it. I did figure as I used it, you could go a little bit thicker than I originally was. I let it set for an hour, still spinning in between each coat, give it, 1 hour at a spin, and then 4 hours just sitting and drying. I think most of these I did about a day apart, but you can let them dry in 4 hours. I've done my 4 or so coats here. You can see it's got a nice shine to it. I'm going to go with my Posca again. And again, if you don't have Posca pens, you can use a Sharpie. You can use vinyl, which is probably how I would do it. I would do strips of vinyl if I did it again. And I'm just going to hold my hand steady here and just let the turner do the work and get those lines on there. The downside to using acrylic, these acrylic paints, is because the bright tone is water-based, it will make it run. And I tried a few different sealers. I tried to just put directly the E6000 on this. That was a disaster. It ran. I had to immediately peel it, turn it, wipe it all off, clean it, and then go on and do this again. I tried directly just putting bright tone on it, but again, because it is water-based, the black just started to run everywhere. So if you use like a Sharpie or just use vinyl, you won't have those problems. But in the end, it all turned out okay, even though I ended up doing these lines, I think 4 times in total. So when in doubt, just try again, try the next thing. I was really happy with how this turned out. I like the look of the lines. A lot of people don't use the lines, they just put the colors. I think it gives a nice distinction between the colors. But I'm a really big cartoon fan and I like that look. So it's kind of what I was going for. All right, while that Posca pen is drying really well this time, I'm just going to quickly cut out my daughter's teacher's name. I just picked a couple of fonts. I just decided which one I liked best. I will try to remember which font I used. I just welded everything together and quickly just cut it out in some black permanent vinyl. Nothing fancy. It just took a couple of minutes. I don't know why I didn't start the machine. Here we go. So here it is on the cup with all my lines. This was the really, really important part that I messed up so many times. This is just the Rust-Oleum. Oh, that says flat white. I didn't use flat white. I ended up using clear. Flat matte clear sealer. I wonder why. I just grabbed the wrong can. That was the most important thing. Spray paint dries fast, so it doesn't give time for the black to run. So because I used spray paint, the cup had to sit for 3 days before I could add any bright tone to it. It has to off gas, which is what I was trying to avoid using one of the other sealers, but it really didn't work. I really just had to use that clear matte Rust-Oleum sealer, and then I waited my 3 days, and here I go with a cup. I think I just did 2 or 3 more coats of the bright tone. Here we go. It's all done, all sealed in. I absolutely loved how it turned out. This pink, the pink was an old nail pink I had, and it had this almost like blue speck in it. It's really pretty. You can see a little bit of the black from underneath on there. So again, I would just do it after a couple of layers of bright tone so that, it still looked really dark and didn't disappear. But again, I'm still really, really happy with it turned out. I think I kind of fixed it, quote unquote. And my daughter's teacher will be really, really happy with it. My daughter's really happy with it. So now I'm going to put it in my closet and let it sit until the end of school. It needs 28 days to be food safe. And yeah, that's it. It's a good first try for a cup. It was a bit adventurous. You can see here I ended up, the glitter is nice and sealed in. That's what I was trying to point out. Here you go. All done. Super happy with it. I wish I got more pictures of the fail. It was an interesting experience. If you want more videos like this, please let me know, and I'll be happy to make some more. I know I've got at least one more on the way, and the cup's about halfway complete. So thanks for watching.